Network. High-definition digital radio broadcasting from the city to the world. www.cityworldradio.com.
You're not leaving yet, and your presence is a gift that I'm unwrapping. And this ass is a drum you are not tapping. Dynamic full band with a rock lead, black beat or black girl on that dope beat. By the end, you gonna be feeling like you know me. Sometimes knowledge ain't enough, though you need to go deeper. Keep a finger on the right side of the brain. They say that we don't practice it enough because we're vain. Caught up in the gratifying grips of the external. Thus we dully sparkle, we can light like the inferno. Light like the inferno, light like the inferno. I be hearing echoes, I stay high on the eternal. Eat vibes for dinner with the side salad of soul. A ballad for the dressing, ooh la la, I'm feeling full. Conscience would be a blessing on this ever-rotating axis. Stillness is a theory, contemplated, never practiced. Practice makes perfect, rolled the blunt and fucked it up the first time. Couple trials that after finally got that shit to bind. My roll-up game's so horrible, I put it off my mind. Define me, it's insoluble, cause you will never find a young black queen whose only dream was to grow up and to become a child star. I ain't a slave to time yet. Age is only a matter of mindset. I'm effervescent, so F anyone who ever told you otherwise. Notice caught you by surprise, tongue-tied. LMNOPs are cute, but actions are the substance of dreams manifested. What you got invested in yourself, because believe me, that work ain't beneath me. Once upon a time, a nigga try to complete me. My cup runneth over, so join the wave or delete me. I heard niggas found surfboards to board the wave and defeat me. Although I'm eloquent, I got hands, legs, and feet. See, fictitious, sneak bitch ass niggas thinking I want more of that. Fuck 'em, dismiss 'em. If I catch one, I'ma throw him back. Fuck that whack. I know my soul and I need more than that. That's a fact, that's a fact. That's a fucking fact. That's a fact, that's a fucking fact. That's a fact, that's a fact, that's a fucking fact. Sitting in my feelings, I've been vibing. I felt a split shift, so I moved from hustle to alignment. All this fucked up shit that I've been finding. I am just a product of the pain that I've been hiding. Brought up in an unhealthy environment. Fuck science, inherit trauma with no trust fund. Can't trust no one, nobody's a hero. Well, everybody's human for a short time. 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 Balance, 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 balance be key to my center. I enter terrain that I could not unenter. I entertain you playing game. Balance is key to my center. I enter terrain that I could not unenter. I entertain. I'm not the same. I'm not the same. I had to grow. I had to move. I had to show. Had to show myself better things. Now I'm over here on stage and now I sing. I mean, I've been pushing myself, and now I'm pushing myself off the stage. Maybe one day I'll be on the front page of a magazine, hopefully. I don't know, but you never know. Thank y'all. Thank you so much. Once again.
So right now I'm at a part in my life. Do you hear me, everyone? So right now I'm in a point in my life where myself for the first time. Self-love is everything. So this is a poem called Saving. Sunrise. Open my eyes. I need saving. I need saving. I realized I was my demise. I need saving. I need saving. I let go of her to come back home to me. I never asked for help, though that's what I really need. God, purify me of sin. God, purify me of sin. Rid of energies in my limbs. I want to fly again, ever so righteously. I am unshackled from the cells of lives. God, please fulfill my heart. Please fulfill my heart. I don't have any ties to the past. I don't compromise my worth. I let go of all whom I love. To let go of all whom I love is freedom. I surrender. I have arrived forth with my palms, ready to receive my blessings, because I do believe in the power of prayer. That's saving. I'm going to do one more, which is called November. This next piece is called November. This is about a friend I love very much who just moved to the West Coast. So shout out to him for pursuing his dreams. This one is called November. Physicality is just a view. I feel you. It's been 6 months since we called each other. With your face embedded in my dreams, there's no miles in between, and I love you. I'm just saying, this transition saved me from me. A new beginning for you and I to free and be. Time has taught me to be kind to myself. Time has taught me to be kind to myself and to learn how to ask for help. Yes, you are the symbol of unity, the alignment of circle number 3. The notion of your existence arose in my mind years before our physical meet. You've been here. You are regal, melanin king, honest and pure. Miracles happen in November. I meet angels in November. Your beginnings arise in November. I kneel down and cleanse of sins in November. Vow to new life in my hair and shave my hair in November. We surrender. You are the one I will never dishonor. You embrace me all the time. Do you know how I feel? Do you know how I feel? Do you know how I feel? To be ever so thankful of a man who heals. Thank you.
Hello. Welcome to the Poet Podcast on Skies Crescent Radio. Welcome, everyone. We are a couple minutes late, but no worries. I hope you enjoy the show still. It's such a nice day outside. We are all tanning, activating the melanin, you know how that goes. So we just heard 2 different selections, but before we start talking about them, we're going to introduce our panel for today. I'm going to start on my right with Mr. Baxter Wordsworth. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? My name's Baxter Wordsworth. I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking, Dale.
You're welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm wearing salmon.
Yeah. Salmon dashiki.
Yeah, I'm wearing a salmon dashiki dress. So it's a good day.
Yeah.
So you are a...
Shout out to Ice Cube.
Yeah. You are a lyricist, a hip-hop artist / lyricist, host of many things.
An MC, comedian at times. Mm-hmm. I am the host of The Poet Will Be Televised, which happens every second Wednesday. Yay! Sometimes at Sylvana's. Currently, this Wednesday, this next Wednesday, we will be at that house party, though.
Yes. And if you want to RSVP, you can RSVP at thepoetontheRoof.eventbrite.com.
Word. I'm also the host of EO-Dub. Shout out to EO-Dub. KRS-One came through last Sunday.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was crazy. It was insanity. I would say this. KRS-One, being honest, isn't the most impressive person freestyling-wise. However, though, his stage presence and what he's able to do with what he does is insane. Like, he entertained that entire room.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. That's all I got to say.
True story. Thank you for being here, Baxter Wordsworth.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Welcome. Now we're moving on along to poet, author, and performance artist,
Yes.
Nicole Goodwin.
Hi,
How you doing?
everyone. Hello. Happy to be here. I just wanted to say that, like, I'm a huge fan of Dale
Oh,
and Baxter. I don't know if you remember me, but I met you, like, a few years ago. Like, you just came through at the spot that I was in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Do you remember?
With,
And
with, give me the rest of the story.
it was Gamba Space.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then you came in, and then
Yes.
you, like, destroyed the house, and it was like, I host this, da da da.
It was
and
the
I'm
thing.
out.
It was like in the little apartment space they had.
Yeah,
right?
it was before the transition.
I do remember that.
yeah, I was there that night.
Yeah,
I
think,
was there.
Did I talk to you when I came in?
I don't remember.
I feel like we might have had a conversation as soon as I came into the room because I remember I was like hanging back at the back.
Yeah, you were. Oh yeah,
Right.
because I was in the back too. Like I just do that, like
Right.
to soak in. Because I like to people watch.
Yeah, you have to kind of
Yeah.
get the vibe.
Yeah.
but
So it
Nicole,
was
do you
really
have
cool.
anything coming up soon?
Actually, I just finished a pop up at Macy's for. Yeah, I took over this gallery space. Actually, I took over this free space and made it a QPOC gallery and had a performing arts. I advertised. I'm gonna do it again, but that was my first step into a curatorial position. So that was me transitioning upward and kind of leaning back and saying, I'm going to develop this space for young QPOC artists and curatorial assistants and create opportunities for us. So I just finished that. And I have something coming up on the 21st of July
Okay.
before I bounce to Chicago for about a month.
Okay.
So I'm doing my thing, you know. I'll keep y'all on the radar.
Nice. How can we follow you?
The easiest way is my IG, Goodwin9. It's the most simple IG ever because I would forget if it got more complicated. I literally would just be like, what is my handle
Yeah.
on IG? I don't even know. I'm there though, but it is Goodwin9 for real.
All right. So everyone follow Nicole Goodwin at Goodwin9 to hear about her shows on July 21st.
Yeah.
Cool. And next we have the love of my life, specialist in dashikis, worldwide traveler,
That's great.
hip hop artist, curator and manager at the Brooklyn Academy of Music.
I rap too.
He does.
How you doing,
pretty well.
McAlmeen?
I'm good. Chilling. Quick rundown. What are we doing? Rabbi Darkside has a project with the Hughes brothers. That's him and Mr. Simmons. They're going to be at Come On Everybody July 6th, 8 o'clock. I'll be rocking with him. Then the following week, I'm rocking with you.
What?
July 13th, Williamsburg Hotel with Prismatic, Allison Shearer's amazing group and band. Going to do a full set featuring some of the songs from our joint endeavor, Where the Love Is. And then I'll be in Germany in 3 weeks. Going to be rocking out for a hip-hop summer school and performing at Summer AMU at the University of Dortmund and Dortmunder U in Germany.
Now, what exactly is
Germany.
Hip Hop Summer School?
Hip Hop Summer School is an amazing project started by Dr. Sina Nitschke and Metchild, who is the director of Dortmunder U, which is their art institution presenting house. And they decided to create a camp where young people could learn two of the hip-hop arts, breakdancing or emceeing. And they asked me 2 years ago. I'd actually lectured there 3 years ago. And when they conceived of this project, they asked to have me come on as basically the master teacher. And we're going to just break down some really cool rap stuff with some 10-year-olds
Yeah.
in German.
Dope.
That is
Yeah.
dope. That's so cool.
Getting my cultural ambassador exchange on without the government.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
shouts to Next Level.
And yes, that is, you always have a whole bunch going on, but you're usually with us, so you can talk about it in July.
That's
Or
correct.
this is July. In August.
In August. You'll get the post in August. You'll get the
July
post.
has come so quickly, so I can't even get
Well,
like
this
I'm
year-
still
Yeah.
in June.
Halfway over.
I
Yeah,
know.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
definitely.
It feels like the summer's ending and it hasn't started yet.
Yeah,
Word.
this is
I'm-
like the first really hot day that we've had.
Second.
I'm tight because
Second,
it's
yeah.
a really hot day. Like
I love them.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I'm like, bring it on. I want it to be like this all the time.
Oh yeah.
But
I despise.
we have
being
one more
cold.
person to introduce before we start talking about the glorious sun outside. We have poet and event producer and singer, freestyler,
Rapper.
Yeah, rap, freestyle, rap, and poet, and all of that, and a good friend of mine, Miss Joy Sanchez. Oh, visual artist and jewelry maker.
I don't think we have enough time to list all.
yeah, the list is too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also supporter of the arts. You support a lot of different artists in the
sure.
underground scene.
Yeah, for sure.
So yes, thank you. So what you got going on? Because there's always something.
There's always something going on. I recently started doing events again, and now it's like a different format where we interview the artists, and some of the shows are broadcast on a different station I won't mention because, trying to be fair. Out in Brooklyn at Caffeine Underground every Wednesday we have a different event going on. Starting July 18th is Clap at Queens, which I'm really excited for and hope it works out this month. My album is somewhere in there. The Anti-Socialist. And my book's almost done. My second book's almost done. So come fall time, Blah Volume 2 will be out, and that's going to be super cool because it's like a whole meditation on just like exploring sexuality and sex and womanhood and coming to terms with it, and especially how you accept that as a woman in today's world, how you come to live in that understanding, because a lot of us, I mean, at least in my age group, was 80s baby, so like looking like this wasn't popular back then. So it's just like, and now I'm in a world where everybody either wants to be black or wants to be with somebody black, or like black is so cool now, and like I had to come to terms with that. I just turned 35, and the last 5 years has been a lot of lessons and a lot of growing up, and I want to share that with so those 3 things are coming up in the next couple months.
Cool.
You can follow me on Instagram and see it all.
You have 2 Instagrams. What are they?
I actually have like 5, which is messed up.
Which ones do you check the most?
I check the ones that are mine, because 3 of them aren't mine. I manage them for other people. So I actually have 6. 3 of them aren't mine, and then 3 of them are mine. So there's J _ the God is, which is my personal like artist life Instagram. And then there's Joilery at Joilery, Joilery, and that's for my jewelry, custom designs and stuff. And then there's BK _ arts, love her, which basically is the collective that launched 1,000 collectives, if I like to like not be cocky about it, but like very real. And we, that's the platform by which I do all my events to support women, black, and queer artists. So.
Cool. Thank you for being here.
And to my left.
Oh, is someone going to
Somebody's
introduce me?
gotta
I don't think
introduce
anyone's ever introduced me. Do I just talk about myself?
Curator, event producer, singer,
All the
poet, love of my life.
I was about to say.
Oh,
Save the best for last.
Can't forget
bro.
that one. I was
Save
just
the
saying.
best for. Let me work.
got
Let me
it.
work, man. Let me work, baby. Let me work.
You right.
Let me work.
she got
Right?
it.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
She
Right.
got
Let
it
me
coming from
build.
all
Let it
sides.
let it build. Let it breathe. What I'm doing. Got this. Ring on the finger. No,
Hey.
I'm done.
I was just saying. I didn't want you to leave that one out.
I appreciate you. What are you doing?
What am I doing?
What are you doing?
Well, I'm here today. We have the Poet Podcast every first Sunday of the month. Everybody, thank you for being here and thank you for listening in. We have July 11th with the Poet on the Roof. The Poet will be televised rooftop edition, grown and sexy and shit. And in collaboration with that house party though, and
7-Eleven.
once again RSVP at thepoetontheRoof.eventbrite.com. And July 13th at Williamsburg Hotel. July 19th, I'm doing City Love at Silvana at 8 with the live band. I'm doing, I think, 3 original songs.
Ooh.
Or they might not be original. I might do a couple original songs and a cover. And I can't remember right now the rest of the stuff. I know I said I was going to do some stuff in August. I know I'm featuring at Solar Tree, who also has a radio show on Under Skies Crescent Radio. In September, I'll probably be at my brain is like foggy because I'm ready to talk about these videos. But yeah, that's me. Follow me at Dale Novella on IG and everywhere. I'm the only Dale Novella in the world. Dale like the chipmunk, Novella like a small book. Yeah. So before we started chit-chatting a little bit about ourselves and getting our vanity on, a couple videos played. The first video was by Addie. And it was a freestyle with the unnamed band from The Poet Will Be Televised. And then we heard a second video, which were 2 poems on self-love by Gabriela Martinez. And both of these videos kind of talked about letting go of people because of your self-worth, or those people letting go of you because you weren't the best for them, right? And a couple quotes from those videos was, well, everybody is human for a short time. That's one quote. And the next quote is, balance is key to my center. So what do we think about that? How do you interpret those?
Oh, wow.
Wait, say the first one again?
The first one is, well, everybody is human for a short time.
Is that like on mortality?
I kind of see it in like 2 ways.
Okay.
Like, I think it's a view on mortality, on how, like, you know, everybody says life is short. So yeah, you're human for this short time, but I think there's also a place where you are susceptible to the flaws of humanity for a short time, and there's a point where you kind of grow into, I think when you grow into your best self, or like that place of self-actualization, is kind of like, this also has to do with like my spiritual belief, but like, just like, it's you kind of ascending to this level of like, I'm above the pettiness of humans, and not like in a I'm better than you way, but just in a, I don't have time for that anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, there's people that will be petty just to be petty, and it's like, I don't have time for
the only thing that makes me think that it can't be about that is because she says everybody. Like, I don't think everybody reaches that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think everybody be petty sometimes.
No, I mean the yeah. Like the lucky people do, but or maybe the unlucky.
Well, then
people,
maybe the people that don't get self-actualized just die.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
we're still human though.
I think some of it is the human part is the mistakes, right? And everybody does make mistakes all the time. And then you get over it.
Allegedly.
I personally think, because I struggle with this idea with humans in relation to humanity, in relation to humaneness. And I think it relates to this idea of vulnerability. I think vulnerability gets a bad rap. First of all, because
it definitely does.
People assume vulnerability is just this idea of just being without protection. And I'm like, no, I think when you are in your nature, you are vulnerable. When you are in your softness, you are vulnerable. When you are decreeing and declaring something in a righteous way or in a ratchet way, you are vulnerable.
In your truth.
In your truth or in your lies. Like, I think for me, vulnerableness, no matter what, is sincerity. When it's coming from a sincere place. So I equate this idea of being human to vulnerability and to sincerity. So that's my formula.
Yeah, it's interesting because outside of the context of the song, it could be many different things. But for me, sort of like transcending that human experience is what came to me when I was thinking about it. And it's similar to kind of what you all are saying, just from the standpoint of, there's these things that we exist in and exist because of, and how can we move beyond them because at some point they don't serve us.
Yeah.
So in some ways, in that context, it's almost saying, you only have to deal in this form for so long. Like there's another form, there's another place that you will be at and be in. And that's what it kind of, brought me to. Yeah.
Cool.
I still think I agree, but I just think it has to do with mortality.
Well, that's why I said that's why I said out of context of the song.
Yeah.
Out of context of the song, if you're like thinking of it broader.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I agree because, like, what did they say? You're not a body having a spiritual experience. You're a spirit having a bodily experience.
Having a human experience. Yeah.
Right.
But I disagree with that because I feel like for me, learning to accept that I am a body, very much was in the process of what created my performance art piece. Ain't I a Woman, and being a body.
For those of you who don't know, who haven't heard of your performance art, can you tell us a little bit about it?
I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. It's about black body presence, in particular my big black body, topless in different places in New York City, and which I think I'm expanding. I might be trying to take over the world. I know it's playing in London. Not London. I think it's Birmingham.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to 2 experiences that were filmed are going to be playing at July 6th. If you check my Instagram, I'll have more information on that. But what I'm trying to say is that the idea of humans being separate from body and disassociating body and what the flesh is, I think that's a very, for lack of a better term, Western concept. And the impulses that come from being a body, for me, have been quite liberating.
Mm-hmm.
This is not to say they don't have their consequences, but attaching myself, my mind, and my body back together took me relatively 30 years. And from the trauma and the personal experiences of pain and self-loathing that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Coming into the now. So reconnecting that bridge, reconnecting my spine, so to speak.
If I could add on to that, I feel like what I'm hearing from you is something, if you believe that we don't choose our bodies, that we come into being as, not necessarily by choice, it could be very jarring and dangerous to disassociate yourself from a body.
Yeah.
So to embrace that physicality and recognizing if your being is of some type of spirit, well, that spirit then chose this vessel to be in.
Absolutely.
To learn a lesson.
Right.
Some sort of lesson.
Or just to experience. I think sometimes my thing a lot of times with religion and even to a certain degree interpretation of like spiritual systems is that we kind of couch things in either fear or like complete suffering. And I think that's also a very Western construct.
Yeah.
This concept of things are like here to suffer. When I visited Kathmandu a few years ago, I was at many of the temples that they still have standing in their city. So Kathmandu is the capital of Nepal, and it's amazing because unlike here, they literally have temples and houses from like 1st century BC.
Whoa.
That are they've built. So there's a cafe and a Starbucks, and then 500 feet there's a pagoda from not 1 BC, 1 AD.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's crazy how they've incorporated that, but around many of them is literally the Karma Sutra carved into the pillars and around it. What I learned about the Karma Sutra was very, very loosely, very generally, it's much more deeper than this, but in essence, it's like the study of pleasure. And it's not about just studying of pleasure between like a man and a woman or between like people that are married. It's the idea that like the body sensuality and sexuality is a way of celebrating and being one with the divine when you treat it as such. So it's these types of things where it's sort of like we've kind of created this idea that spirituality is about experiencing suffering, pain, and understanding that this experience that we're going through is painful, and it's a way for you to understand what is truly great and divine. But that doesn't really seem to that's never jived with my spirit. And that's not to say you run around and go like fuck everything on the planet. But it does mean that this physical self has a purpose, and that purpose is something for you to kind of grow into, understand, and figure out, celebrate, and share. Be damned what anybody else may want or think. And for me, that's more spiritual than saying, oh, you know, for me, you know, oh, this you got to get rid of the shell. That seems to be more traumatizing to look at it that way than being like, okay, so to use a Christian, you've been beautifully made. If you truly believe that, then why would you want to jump out of the skin? You'd want to celebrate that skin. You'd want to invite that skin
I think
places.
Like history also, like, I don't think necessarily suffering. I think the idea of suffering where it pertains to our spirit or like physical existence, I agree that it's more of a Western idea. I think it's also something that's specific to Black and brown cultures because suffering has always been a part of our recorded existence. And that's how we, you know what I'm saying, you learn how to cope and you like grow through that. And so I think that's where I think that's where it comes from. But what you were saying just now made me think of this philosopher, Osho. He's a writer, like in India. And he had this thing that has always stayed with me because, like, when I got divorced, I got deep into it. I fell apart. You know, I'm trying to figure out my life and figure myself out again. So I started reading Osho, and something he said was like the idea of love and the way that it's taught in the world is toxic. Because we attach a lot of like negativity to love, like negative qualities to love. So like things like jealousy or pain or possession or just saying that this is my person. Yeah. Right. This is mine. Somebody taking possession is, and I think that's kind of the same thing. I see it the same way. Like, we don't really explore the ways that we have kind of muddled the waters when it comes to the way you can experience this life. You know, it doesn't have to be one way, and I think that's also a part of it. Like, it doesn't have to be that one way. And being human kind of teaches you that, or like being settled in your humanity or in your physical, just lets you know that, like, reminds you it doesn't have to be the same way. And that's why I think like that's how I kind of see that line as well. It's like, you know what I mean?
So we're about to get into the next video, which is called Karma by Iniko. But before we do that, just how about we share one way we center ourselves very shortly. Like, I do yoga, I meditate, and that's how I'm able to center. Sometimes I spend 30 minutes just standing under the water in the shower and annoying the cow. But that's how I center. So how do each of you center?
Silence. I seek as much silence as possible. When I really need to sort of recalibrate, I just need complete solitude and silence. That's, I guess, it's meditating, but it's not really in the sense of like I'm not like thinking of a mantra or a chant. I just need like just silence. I could be doing something. I could be cooking, you know, or reading a book. But there's a point when I just need to just not have activity or anything really around me other than my person.
Cool. Anyone else?
This might be considered weird, but it really works.
You're in the right place.
Smells. I have a very keen sense of smell that was inherited, and from the education that I've learned about animals, especially the human brain. Smell is a huge triggering.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And sense for the senses and memory, but it also brings about presence depending on how you react to the smell. So I started buying oils and mixing them and creating aromas for myself and just smelling them. Like,
No, that's real. Like,
yeah. Because it also like triggers this idea of colors, and it triggers this idea of feeling, and smell is a huge tactile sensation.
You know what's
so
funny? What's really funny is that like I do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if I'm home with my kids, especially like, and I just need to I'll like take one of them and just give them a huge hug and just smell them.
You smell them.
Like I just inhale them.
Yeah.
Or I make things. Like I walk, I'll take long walks. Like I walk from Brooklyn to Manhattan for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll make things because I need that silence too, but I also need physicality.
Yeah.
So I'll like sit and make. That's how I started making jewelry. I would just like sit and work my hands, but sit in my like I don't know, like it works for me. My brain is weird like that.
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
And I haven't heard anything weird yet.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like Baxter just raps the center himself.
not even.
Baxter
Not
just
even.
Do you play with your
he's
cats?
present.
I wish.
Cats
Yo, we
center
should. Yo, Amber, we should invite Amber. Amber knows.
Yeah, Amber's in the next room.
I-
Amber's
Yo,
like,
Amber, where you at? We
Maybe-
need
maybe
something
not.
answered.
She's documenting things. Oh.
I love that she poked her head.
But
How does
That's
Amber?
so
how does
funny.
Baxter center himself?
He secludes himself and doesn't talk to anybody.
but when do I do that? I don't know.
Wow.
So Baxter needs silence too.
I don't know if that's what happens.
The
You know what?
tea
But I
has
do-
been spilled.
Can I go into a little danger zone for a second? I feel like that's kind of a universal man thing. I think men
Maybe.
tend to do
They talk
that.
about the man cave.
Well, no, I think
maybe the man cave has
sometimes
multiple purposes,
I think
yeah.
sometimes when dudes we get stressed, it's because we're doing like a lot of processes. We just need to be like
Trying to fix shit.
But I don't-
The Western man always wants to fix
But for
shit.
me,
Yeah.
I don't.
but it's real though. But also too, a lot of times the world puts a lot of weight on your shoulders for things that you don't necessarily.
But I don't
want.
know. For me, like it's stress. Like I'm an air sign. I'm an Aquarius, and I deal with a lot of extremes. So like, she might be right. But I think it's a lot of fact that like I throw myself into the things that I like. So like if I want to hang out with someone, I hang out with them every day for a month. If I want to do something, I do it every day for a month or whatever. And I do. There are times where I just have to step away from all of that.
Yeah.
And my relationship, I throw myself into that.
You better not step away from that, bro.
Yeah, I'm
no,
about to
Don't
say.
step away from that, bro.
But we
Don't step away from
we,
that.
we
Baxter.
hang out.
Careful.
Do
We
not
hang
do
out.
it.
Like we pretty much see each other every day for the last
live
four.
together.
For the last.
I disagree. I think relationships require space.
But
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, but we
Yeah.
pretty much see each other every day for the last 4 years, and like I've never gotten tired of her. But
Is that
But-
mutual?
but she's right. There are moments where like I just need like a half of a day to like be somewhere else, and maybe like read comic books or like
You know,
take a
I
long
also
walk.
kind of don't think that's like a man thing. I think that's a masculinity thing.
Okay.
I
Like just a
agree.
masculine energy thing. Like, I think at least I know that I have a lot of like male traits. There's air quotes when I say this, right? So I have a lot of masculine
sign.
energy, and I've always been a tomboy and expressed my ways in ways that men usually do. And I think like it's just like because there's like I have no better way to explain it, but like to me it's like a fire that just gets too hot and you need to kind of drench it to like quell it and just bring it back down
Yeah.
to like a
Balance.
simmer.
The quote was
No.
balance is the key to my center. So there's that. But let's get into Iniko with Karma.
Yeah.
I love Iniko.
She's
I
a
seen
big
her
one.
on the street like
Thank you so much. When you're falling fast like rain, karma hits you like a train. I hope you'll never be the same again. The blood drips from your face. I know it's awfully strange to look in the mirror and see that you're the demon who was always out for me.
So that was Iniko with Karma. And the song is just talking about being wronged by someone and feeling like what they did was like they can never come back from it. Like they're an evil person. She'll never forgive them. No one should ever forgive them. When I was listening, well, first, what do y'all get? What is the feeling that y'all get? What does it remind you of? Before I get into what it reminded me of.
Wait, what?
What does that feeling, like when you heard her singing and she's talking about never being able to forgive someone for the shit they did to her?
Couple things.
Or them. Sorry.
Right. Couple things. One, I'm an Aquarius, so that's hard to understand because we forgive everybody for everything.
That's true.
But like, I do believe, like I've seen that happen a couple of times, and I feel like with human beings, kind of like relationships are kind of like having a bank account. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where like you can overdraft a couple of times, and people will be like, all right, well, you start off with credit. You meet somebody, they're like, hey, I heard a lot of good things about you. That's the credit. And then you use that credit up, and then you start then you end up with debt. And then like, some people it gets to a point where it's like, hey, you don't bank here anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But everybody has like a different level to get there. Some people will let you run up debt on them, like almost like to no end. And it's like, yo, why does that person let that other person do that to them? And it's like, they've been banking with them for so long. That's their relationship.
So for you, Iniko was specifically talking about a relationship that was toxic, like a love relationship that was toxic.
It doesn't have to be that. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes, sometimes you got a cousin who like is running up that debt on you, or a brother, or a mother who's running up that debt on you.
I'm keep my mouth shut.
But I think just like in relationships, we through our interactions with people, we allow certain things, and certain people like that. I think for certain people, it's easier to get to that point where it's like, yo, you don't bank here anymore. I don't really get to that place very often. I don't think, but like I understand the feeling.
I think she was just. I know when I saw her sing that song, I cried. Like I was crying like real tears at that show.
Sorry, her Iniko's pronouns are they and them.
Yeah.
When I saw them sing that song, I was like in real tears at the show, and the way I had interpreted it was just like of a feeling of giving yourself or giving so much away that like you had nothing left for yourself, and ended up the worse for it, or you feel you were left empty or broken from it. And I agree with what you're saying when it's like a bank, but I've always lived on that premise that like what you allow to happen in your life, what happens to you is what you allow to happen. Like people are only going to treat you the way you allow them to treat you,
right?
Unless you like
close that account,
check them, or just be like, hey, send a notice to their house, like, hey, did you know you're overdrafting right now? You need to make a deposit, like,
right?
You know what I mean?
Just put a sticky note on the door.
And I think like why that happens a lot. Because we become like kind of a passive aggressive or like non-confrontational society where it's like, I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm going to just let you keep withdrawing, and then I'm just going to shut your account down with no notice, or like not like. I think that's the real problem.
Also, we make a lot of moves out of what we want, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you see somebody. Like your parents, like you look at your parents, you want to have a certain relationship with your parents. You want your mother or your father to like love you a certain way. You want like validation for them. So even though the reality of it may show no evidence of this ever happening, you'll still probably engage for the want of the thing. And that happens in romantic relationships. That happens in congenial relationships. You'll have a friend that you'll be like, yo, I looked out for this person so many times, and like, and you want them to reciprocate that and be there for you, even though your entire relationship has only shown evidence that you can't count on them for certain things.
Yeah, that is one-sided.
Right. And that goes back into like, I think people become relationships become easier for you when you kind of release those expectations from people, and you kind of just take them as they are. Right. Like, like I know there's certain people that if I needed to hide a dead body, I could call, and there's certain people that if I needed to hide a dead body, they should never know. They should never find out.
Yeah, and don't tell me I'd be ridden with guilt.
You definitely. You're not
I got the show
on the body.
You not tell me.
It depends on the body.
Hypothetical.
I mean, but
hypothetically,
there's just certain people, like, because you just have to know who you're dealing with, like, or just be honest with yourself about the people you're dealing with.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
And where you are. I think.
Right.
Oh, honest with yourself about yourself too. That's super serious.
I
think
that's hard.
For a lot of people.
Hard. Like for me, I think having been on the reciprocal of both sides, having been burned people, one of the things I realized is that, I'm a very lovable person that's hard to live with. Like, my standards aren't for everybody. And I've learned to accept that. And it doesn't mean, some people have loved me, but they've had to go. Some people have been like, I don't love you no more, I'm out.
Right.
To each their own. Like, each instance that it happened is going to happen regardless of who you are, whether you're leaving people or people are leaving you. It's different. And I was in different places at each time. And one of the things I realized, I was like, regardless of who's coming and going in my life, I have to be able to live with myself. Mm-hmm. So I've adopted different mantras and rituals and identity changes in order to make myself livable with me, and be like, you know what, if I'm going to be that old lady living by myself, I'm going to have a bang ass time. Like, it is what it is, because I feel like we live in an era that's, I don't want to say too quick, but I feel like everybody's go-to is like, all right, well, I got to leave this person. They're problematic.
Or toxic.
They're toxic.
Yeah.
Right. I think buzzwords, a lot of these buzzwords,
Yeah.
like toxic and problematic.
And people don't even understand what they mean. 90%
Right.
of the
Yeah.
time.
Like
come-
safe space.
See, that's
Yeah.
that's the
And
problem.
triggered is being used way too much. Like
Right.
just because you don't like something does
Doesn't
not
mean
mean
you're
you're
triggered.
triggered.
And also,
I
because you're
don't
not
think it's
offended and
being
trigger.
used. I think it's
Right.
being misused.
Right.
No,
'cause
this-
trigger and offended are not interchangeable.
Exactly.
It's not the
No.
same
No,
thing.
it's
No,
not
it's
the
not.
same
And
thing.
that's kind of like, also see that what's funny is that I remember being in certain places and learning about certain things and like learning terms before I actually knew what they meant.
Yeah.
And like being very cautious about, I'm always cautious about the words I use. I'm not going to use a word I'm not
Yeah.
sure of, you know what I
Right.
mean? Because
You
that's
would
where the
think.
problems really come in. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of academic societal thought
Yeah.
going around
Right.
from non-academics who never like actually, you know, and that's not an insult. It's just a recognition that like if you don't have that knowledge for real, you can't actually say what it is. Like like
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah.
to be triggered is not the same thing as being offended.
Right.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Triggering has to do with dealing with past traumas.
Yeah.
And like
That you
know what I'm saying?
cannot
That
change.
you
Yeah.
cannot change. But being offended is oh, you hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Or
what I mean?
insulted.
And people don't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Things like that are small differences, but they do mean something. I really wanted to just, you said something about expectations, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's also like an eagerness that people bring to their relationships.
Yeah.
To all these relationships, right? It's like, I want to be, you know, when I started coming out and doing like, events and stuff, I wanted to do these things to help other artists. I wanted to create these, I wanted to create this whole, I had a vision of what I wanted to create. And I'm thinking I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But I'm not. And I had to come to terms with that and just be like, Joy, you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to say,
Right.
I can't do this. And be
Yeah.
honest about what you can and cannot do. Because
Yep.
I know I'm unreliable. I know it. There's things that I will now tell you, like, oh, you
Don't-
need me to do that?
don't count on me for
I
that.
can't do
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
if it, like, I'm sorry if you
But that's
feel that,
real.
But
Yeah.
I'd rather tell you I can't do something.
And that's
there's
knowing
a lot
yourself.
Of people that have such an eagerness and a hopefulness to be a part of a relationship, whatever
Right.
type of relationship, is that they will keep saying they can do things that they cannot do
Because they have
Not
a-
because they
Absolutely.
want
There's
that
There's a
so
dissonance.
want to.
bad.
There's a dissonance between the ideal self and the actual self.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You want to be a person who does this. You want to be a person who's like, yo, you need me to pick you up from the airport? Got you.
Got
But you
you.
might not be that person. You might be like,
Yeah.
yo, if you don't mind waiting an hour after your plane lands for me to show up, I might be there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he feels the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Which I don't
but-
think is bad.
If you're able to be honest, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're able to be like, yo, I'm not the person for that, where as opposed to like, you know, wanting to be the person for that. you
Yeah.
I
know?
also kind of think that relates. That song gives me that feeling. Their song gives me that feeling because it can be sometimes, I believe, a detrimental thing. It's a very hard process. That type of growth is very hard for you to recognize who you are
Yeah.
and be honest
Absolutely.
with yourself and break away from that falsehood that you've been living in for so long. That can destroy a person on the inside.
Yo.
So I think that also kind of, to me, that also applies to the song.
Speaking of living, the last time I watched the video, like when I was editing, I started thinking about our government right now.
Oh.
And like, has it, especially for people of color, have we gotten to a point where it is unforgivable the shit we've gone through? In
I know
Yes.
for me.
Yes.
I know for me it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me
Universally,
personally, yes.
unilaterally,
Yes.
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 I'm done. I'm
Before
done.
the shit
So
that
yeah.
happened recently from Gate, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
slaughtered two separate indigenous groups. You created the most insidious form of human bondage. There's never
Yeah.
been a system
Never.
Yeah.
that has actually figured out a way to strip humans of being
Of their
human
humanity.
and
yeah.
and
and
maintain it
Yes.
and perfect
yes.
it
group of
and
people,
innovate
and
it.
then make
that
Like,
they are still
you
lesser
figured it
than
out,
us.
Exactly.
but check it
And
out.
they feel
It's like
bad
you
that
created.
they're angry about it.
No,
Yeah.
well,
And make
but
them
here's the
feel
thing,
bad
though.
that they're
This is
angry about
why
it.
it's unforgivable. Because you create said system. Okay, you know what? You shouldn't have did that. Oh man, we won't do that. You're like, I make it. Fuck it. Let's make it better. That's what
Right.
y'all
Yeah.
did. Y'all didn't
Improve this
stop.
thing.
Y'all didn't
They just
stop.
did
Y'all was
it
just like,
right. Wait.
Or just straight gaslighting. Like, that's not what
Absolutely.
we meant.
Yeah.
like other countries, Germany apologizes for the Holocaust, right?
Right.
Now,
If you deny the Holocaust in Germany, you go to jail. If you deny the Holocaust in France and any of these, you go to jail. There are people who are like, well, slavery wasn't that bad.
You get president.
fun fact though,
America.
Racism ain't real. You're
Germany,
president.
Germans like to get their reparations actually ripped Germany apart to get their reparations. They
Yeah.
actually revolted, and that's how that
But America
whole,
is
thing
slick,
came to
man.
be. So
Germany is an insane place because you have this identity, this cultural identity. Like when you go there, there is like this force in the air that you feel having dealt with meeting these people who have lived in this land where this insane tragedy has taken place. And at the same time, there are people who still worship this tragedy, and they're still fighting against that
Right.
openly. This is a public secret. And you go to places like Germany, you go to places like South Africa, where if you say Kafa, you will go to jail. And that's even as it was put where I saw that it's even worse than nigga, because it's like, no, this is outlawed. This
Right.
word is an illegal word. And whereas here, I understood the coping mechanism behind it, but now it's become such, it in itself has become such a word that is like clickbait.
yeah,
Which one?
The N-word?
Yeah, nigga, definitely.
Yeah. You had a couple thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't really care. Not only care, but like, I think that's like the symptom of a problem and not the actual problem.
I agree.
You know?
I agree.
But like America's slick, yo, because it's like if you was kept in a basement as a child and tortured, and then one day you just realize the door was unlocked
The
and you
whole
can't-
time.
and,
The
yeah,
whole time.
and then you come upstairs and they have like a plate for you, and they're like, yeah, sit down, eat, and they act like nothing's wrong, and you're like, you're hungry, so you do sit down and eat, but you're like, yo, aren't you the same motherfuckers that like
Had me locked in the
tortured
basement.
me for like all of my life?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But they control the narrative.
Yes.
So even like growing up, like you never, like they don't go into slavery in detail. Like
No.
there's, like
Yeah.
there was
no.
slavery, and then there was freedom, and we celebrated freedom, and they move on to the next chapter.
and
right?
they don't even go
Right.
to the history of slavery
or
Yeah.
what is more
Or where
pertinent,
the people came
or where
from.
the people came
Or
from.
what- but-
They just grew up out the grass.
Yeah.
Like the cotton did.
But what's more pertinent to
cotton plant
our
and there was
lives,
a black
Yeah.
the
person.
slaves with the cotton.
yeah.
and what's more pertinent to our lives today, the ramifications and the reverberating like circumstances
Yeah.
and
that
in the
slavery.
current
But you know
erasure
what
of
though?
it.
But
Absolutely.
you can't do that, because what ends up happening is,
People get angry.
well, yes, but the moment you take responsibility for something, and this is why people and systems and things don't take responsibility, is because then I'm accountable.
Right.
If I've done something
Absolutely.
to wrong you and I acknowledge I've wronged you,
Then you have to-
now I have to do something
Consequence.
to affirm you. I have to do something to reconcile
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And that's what they don't want to do, because the
Right.
biggest fear about all of this is that they're not going to be able to pay the debt, or that the debt is going to be something that they cannot really
It's
what they can really fathom. Because the reality of it is this.
Well, they can fathom. That's what's
They
going
can
on in
fathom
South
the
Africa
debt.
right now.
Yeah.
They can
But-
fathom.
but-
I mean,
in
but-
America,
but
they
that's-
can
so
but that's the
fathom
America
thing.
was supposed to take back the land. That was reparations, right? And once Abraham Lincoln was killed, the person who took over for him
I would
was
have been
like,
shocked if he even did that, though.
He didn't. He didn't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if he
it
would have
was-
done it.
Yeah, he wasn't
His
enforcing
whole-
it. But
his
like the
whole-
next
his
president
whole
was like,
regime, it's crazy when
Well, I
it
mean,
happens
all-
with
all
Lincoln.
of the-
He didn't care. Like,
yeah, no,
too.
he didn't care.
But
didn't
Kennedy
care.
too. He didn't care either. He was a
I
candidate.
will
it was a
say
convenient
JFK
choice.
didn't, but I
No,
think Robert did.
He didn't. It's not saying that he didn't care about the plight of black people, but saying it wasn't a part of his political platform.
I agree.
Until it was something that would put him over the top over his opponent. It was.
True.
It was.
Yeah,
a,
that's
It was a
right.
manipulation thing.
But
was a-
what I
yeah.
wanted to say was that after Abraham Lincoln was killed and the government was supposed to give out reparations, the administration literally said, well, cutting up the land that white people are living on and giving it to their slaves would be infringing upon the rights of those landowners.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you infringed upon the rights of these people.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, it was all right because we weren't actually people
so-
here. At the
Yeah,
time.
we still weren't people.
So
we
we
still
weren't
weren't
full people.
also the problem with waiting for your oppressor, and I'm not even using that
Yeah.
word in the
Waiting
violent
for someone
colonizer.
but or just
Colonizer.
waiting for the person in privilege to relinquish privilege. And why it never happens is because people look at privilege as not
right.
but
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
but they don't look at it as a scale, like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
So like men the privilege they have, white people the privilege they have, they think people getting their rights and getting their privileges would just elevate those people to where your status is, and then everyone enjoys privilege from this high peak. But that's not the way it works. For more marginalized people to gain privilege, the people in privilege have to lose privilege.
Yeah.
And when privileged
Exactly.
people lose privilege,
Yes.
it feels like oppression to them.
Yeah.
Like, and
But
that's
it's really just
and that,
leveling the
and that
playing
why
field.
Yeah.
that's what stops reparations altogether.
But
Yeah.
You see
But wait, so
Oh,
just
yeah.
like just exactly what you explained. So it's like they realized that the slaves deserved
Yeah.
reparations and land, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but then they were like, but if we have to give the land from someone,
Yeah.
and it's the white people would have to lose
Yes.
the privilege of being landowners, and that's what it's like.
Sure.
That's where
Well,
ally.
that's too much.
But here's-
we
but
did
here's-
that to the
but here's-
Indians,
but
but it
here's-
doesn't matter.
but
I
here's-
know, that's a whole other thing because
Yeah.
that is a travesty in
But
itself.
that
as
is-
well.
But here's
Yeah,
the one thing about that backstory. Just a slight thing. The reality of it, though, is that it's going to put everybody on balance. They feel like it's going to put themselves behind. Actually, no, you're
Right.
not. You're going to be on
that's,
level.
That's the
Wait,
point.
aren't there? Isn't there supposed to be a rally for white rights coming up?
But
For
there-
everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. I was watching
No, you're not
Trevor
crazy.
Noah.
I was just like, why?
Sure.
I was watching
Why?
Trevor Noah, and
What
I'm
rights did
almost
they lose?
positive it's supposed to be coming up. Too.
That shit's happening in North Dakota or Missouri.
But I mean,
or
white
some
flight
shit
is
like
still
that.
a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Because
it's
people are scared of
all
losing,
across the country.
losing
It's
their
like,
privileges.
oh my God, and there was a story like in California, right around Silicon Valley, because there were so many people of like Eastern Asian and Middle Eastern descent. Their children in school were doing so good; they were messing up the curve for all these mediocre white kids.
Yeah.
That whole communities upped and moved further into different school districts where their mediocre ass child could get a higher grade
Yeah, that's
because
a-
they couldn't compete
that's a privilege on-
against
Exactly.
the intelligence
Privilege on
of these
themselves.
children that were non-white. in their
Instead
school
of-
doing so
instead
well.
of-
And
Instead of just
that
holding
happens.
your
child
Just
to higher
saying,
standards.
Yeah.
That's why we got cases
Or just
like,
hold
you
that
know,
L.
That's
Yeah.
why we got like
Yeah.
regular ass
Hold
stuff,
that L.
whatever,
Or try
like,
harder with the
kids,
next kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
affirmative action messed up my college. No, you just didn't make the cut. You weren't
Right.
good enough.
But
You
at
weren't
the
good
same
enough.
token, here's the thing. At the same token, they're not only moving their kids physically, they're teaching their kids you have to preserve your position
Or-
Yeah.
and
of
to,
privilege.
and to change
because
the
you have to
goalposts.
get these kids who are doing better than you to work for you and work for your goals and work for the things that make your life simple.
Ooh,
Yeah.
but you know what's funny about that? There is a whole enclave of black folk in this country, elite black folk.
Talk about it.
That do the same thing.
Let's go.
Yeah.
There's a really great book
I'm
I just
here
finished
for
reading
this
called
convo.
Our
Come
People.
through.
and it's all
Joy,
about
come through.
it's all about the establishment of this black elite
like the talented
community.
tenth idea.
No, not the talented tenth
no,
idea.
no.
Basically, it stems from the house slaves. The house slaves.
Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah.
like it's about 25 or 28 families, black families that are descended from slaves that can actually trace their homes, their lineage all the way back to slavery because they were of the better slaves, the house
Yeah.
slaves that actually got money, that actually
Yeah.
was able to be upwardly mobile. And when they started making money, making their businesses, they kept it all in house. They intermarried their children. They all go to the same
my
schools,
family
stuff
did
like
exactly.
Jack and Jill, Eastern Stars.
But almost,
like
yeah.
these are all organizations,
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
we
We'll
created.
talk later.
No, okay.
Because those kids,
She always be like, she gets
mad at me about
right?
this.
They feel somewhere in the middle of
Don't
it.
say that.
No, I'm not. It's
Yeah,
not.
no.
I'm just saying these are facts
Nah,
of
this
the
is
world.
different. This
But
is
it is
different.
the documented
This is
fact that
different.
like the people in that area, they didn't feel they didn't feel comfortable with the rich white people, but they felt better than the regular black people.
So what I was just saying is that literally is my family on both sides of my family, and Macau always brings it up, and it's like, you don't want to admit this. But my family is nothing like that.
I just know. We have a different
history of my family.
We have a different idea. We have a different idea.
I think that runs in my family name too. I don't know which of the
Definitely
three.
not my family name.
Hold on, I got.
But in my family name,
No. So we have it. Dale and I have a differing working definition of like rich and wealth. So I try to explain what I mean by that. I know that her family is not dripping in diamonds and pearls, but it's very
like Cardi B.
Yes, but it's very clear they have substance, and I know that's an uncomfortable place for you to be at. But put that aside for a second. Come through, because I need to have this convo, because this is my whole thing about black capitalism. We tend to believe, we have this idea like, well, if we got money and if we doing all of the things that white Western people are doing,
and
we're good,
and we're not free,
and it's kind of what you were saying, and what you were saying before,
Kanye
Nicole,
West.
the whole other thing, right, and what Nicole was saying is what I wanted to tie into this whole idea of. And what you're talking about with the Silicon Valley, this idea of like, does it matter if we have things if we don't own them? More importantly, does it matter if we do things in this system? We have this really bad thing and belief that somehow we're going to get equality or equity if we just like, invest in each other. Like, no. What we need to do is
the game right.
Right.
What we need to better than them.
No, and this is the radical thing. We need to completely divest. We had it right in the 60s with the Panthers and BLA and AIM and then Move in the 80s, where the idea was very, very simple. And unfortunately in the social justice universe, with all of the Hotep nonsense, they've messed all of people like Umar Johnson. They've totally messed this up. But we had this idea of essentially this: we need a black nation. Self-determination meant that we're going to create our own,
but better,
our own entity. And it wasn't going to be the black version of America. It wasn't going to be taking the founding fathers constitute. It was literally like, we need to, which is what makes it even more insidious. When you go to Berlin. When I was in Germany, and the thing that struck me most about the Holocaust Museum when I went was not the fact that Germany acknowledged the fact that the Holocaust was, but it's because almost 60% of the actual museum, it dedicates itself to actually properly representing and telling the story and tale of Hebrew and Jewish indigenous people. This is the thing that is what makes the Americas so horrible and insidious and evil, why they can never be forgiven. Because what the history books don't do is, it doesn't restore the humanity. And they know that once you restore the humanity, then the literal dominance and supremacy
is another person.
But it's
exactly
not a thing anymore.
You know what I want for my reparations? Just tell the story right. Talk about science, arithmetic, talk about music, talk about all of the things that African people
about our religion.
Talk about.
We had religion.
Talk about where all of your philosophies, talk about where all of your philosophies and your thought processes came from. Talk about that. Tell the truth. You do that, I'll figure out how to get my own fish, land, water, and I'll be out. right. So for me, but unfortunately, I feel like now we're in this state. To me, right now, with black and brown people, where we're in a very precarious position. And for me, it's very simple. We want to celebrate these wins. Like, oh, look, we made the space black. It's like, but the dude up top is white.
I agree.
Take all of that black. All you need to take all that black genius, all the black intelligence, figure out what are the systems that are ours, and then be out. And then and not be like, we're gonna make the black apple, or we're gonna make like the
The only problem is that is when we do try to do that, it's like met with deliberate opposition. And I agree with you. I agree with you completely. But I also think like a lot of one of the things people forget is like isn't the fact that like black people aren't trying or aren't coming up with like the way to like better ourselves, is the fact that even when we do, it is deliberately stopped. Like it is it's not like we're fighting against what do you call it? Forces of nature or forces of economics. Like, no, we're deliberately fighting against like enemies. Like, you know what
though? They're going to stop us either. I mean, they're going to kill your soul or they're going to kill your body. But also, if not both. So which one is going to be?
Because they might try to kill our soul or our body, we might need to medicate. So we're going to get into Leah V with Medicaid.
Yo, you got the best segue.
That is the best.
She's exploring her subconscious self-repression. My repression involves the suppression of smoke, simple squanderings around embers, omitted, dismembered duchess, disheveled and pebbled with memories of September's come past. I allow my inhaled escape to emulate exposed egos, attempt to cover and cower behind clouds of calling vapors. You, my neighbors, will you escape beside me? Will you ignore the ignorance even after it pierces your privacy? Even after it pierces your private party and the pieces of you place precariously in your pockets? And will you addict yourself, as I have, in hopes that you can hover above these men who hate you, who threaten to hallucinate you with their hands ready to sedate you, snatch you, and taste you? It's an irrational fear, but the statistics say otherwise. But Mary unifies, and as the sun rises and I raise myself off comfortable covers, my very first thought is always, how soon can I ignite? How soon can I insert my fake sense of security into this service fee-taking mouth? How many mammoth-moving minutes until this green piece can move my mental capacity into other dimensions? Is it deception? It is. I know, and yet still I fold tobacco cloves as I pose beside smoke, and I choke, and I toke, and I break my composure, engage in overexposure, wearing these blood-colored eyes, reading, this is a full disclosure. But Mary balances boulders. She breaks these brain boundaries, and she massages your shoulders as earth shakes and shatters with shit-talking government soldiers who pose next to murderers in suits, diluting the truth, trading our tragedies for power-pelling polling booths, completely obtuse, corrupt, and obtrusive, policing our youth while already grasping that noose. And because of these unfortunate truths, I make the choice to choose. If we cannot be physically free as we ache against this concrete, then allow me a calm heartbeat, a piece of the sweetest leaf, temporary relief, my fleeting inner peace. Allow me to elevate so that I can de-escalate, so that as I deflate, brutal reality may briefly escape. Thank you.
So that was Leah V with Medicate. And she's talking a little bit about her relationship with marijuana. Mary Jane. Mary Jane is illegal in the United States. There's a federal law. There are some places that it's legal. Well, federal means it's like nationwide, right?
Is it still illegal?
Nationally, yeah.
So, like, the feds can run up in Colorado and bust all of those dispensaries? Yeah.
They won't.
You'll learn something new every day.
They won't. Way
of course.
too much money.
Yeah.
But they could.
They could, in theory.
Yeah. So, I have a bunch of questions around this, and I'm like, which seems better for the conversation? But, like, what is, I guess, our relationship to weed right now? I guess as New Yorkers, as people of color, what is it?
And
is it just a medication?
I would
self-medication.
We're estranged. We're estranged.
You're estranged.
We're estranged.
I dabble. Like I have a strange relationship with weed. I didn't start smoking it until I was like 34. Mm-hmm. So I came into it very, very well. I came from a family of highly addicted people, and I myself am a highly addicted person. And ironically, I'm not addicted to weed. It's very much a social.
It's not an addictive
bringing.
Weed is addictive.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything can be addicted. You can be addicted to cupcakes.
Habits are addictive.
Yeah, you really could.
Yeah,
I mean, cupcakes have sugar, and sugar is very addictive.
Exactly.
Most addictive
it's
substance.
literally how that plays on your brain.
Yeah,
and plays with your chemistry. So I think addiction is relative in one sense and chemical in another.
Yo, the only thing I got to say about marijuana is it fucking is insane to me that like you can outlaw a plant that grows out of the ground. That shit doesn't make any sense. It's like, yo,
But cocaine is the same thing.
Yeah.
no, you have
heroin.
to you have to do things to cocaine.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Like
that's
marijuana
true.
just grows
Yeah.
out of the ground
If
like
you go
like
to
a
you just
tree.
pluck it.
Like
But
a
actually,
grass.
you don't. If you actually chew the coca leaf, it
It'll
has
still
the
get you high.
same effect.
The same exact as
The
cocaine.
same
Yeah.
Well, then
effect.
that's crazy too.
You know what they basically just did is it's just an easier delivery method. That's
Yeah.
it.
But I
it's
mean,
still
it-
like a
it-
process.
And it's more instantaneous
No, that's what I'm
when
saying,
it
but
goes
that's
right.
to like certain places,
but that's still
like the nose.
But that's still
straight to the
different.
brain.
You know what I'm saying? My thing is like it's a. But that's my feeling towards like society.
Humans are arbitrary. Look, it's bottom line is we suck. No, we do suck.
But-
We have legal drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, sugar,
Oreos.
caffeine. They're all
counter medicine.
They're all
drugs.
all
Yeah.
drugs that
Prescription
actually have
drugs,
way
yeah.
more insidious
Yeah.
physical and psychological effects than weed will ever have. Completely legal.
Yeah.
But like I'm not even.
Oxycontin.
I wasn't even.
Yeah.
Real talk.
I wasn't even getting that deep with it. I'm just talking about the fact that like just a little anecdote, and that's the last thing I'll say. Fucking one time, Amber was telling me how like she has like berries that grow upstate at her mother's house or at her grandmother's house or whatever. She's like, yeah, we used to pick those off the vine and like eat them. And I was like, what? You used to just pick random berries and eat them? It's like, you don't know where they've been. But then I caught myself. I was like, no, wait, you know exactly where they've been.
They're
they
in
grew,
your backyard.
Because they
Yeah.
grew on that vine and then you ate them. Whereas
Yeah.
like the berries from the store are the ones that you don't know where they've
Right.
been.
Absolutely.
But like my mind has been so like reversed on the subject that I feel the shit in the supermarket is safer than the stuff that
Or
actually
even
just
But that's-
clean. It
that's
might not even be
Exactly.
clean. Yeah.
That's the whole theory
Exactly.
behind things like food justice or like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the Black Project, Tanya Fields. She's up in the Bronx. She does amazing things with food. She made a 2,500 square foot urban farm, and then has these buses that she refurbishes, and it has classes in the so people can grow their own vegetables.
Oh,
and
that's
then,
so
and
dope.
things like that, because a lot of the things we get are not natural. I used
Right.
to
Yeah.
volunteer at community garden, and when you compare things that you get straight from the ground,
Right.
from the
Yeah.
stuff, I got an eggplant from the garden, right?
It's
about this
insane.
big.
Yeah.
This is how big an eggplant really is. In the supermarket, it's like this big.
Exactly.
It's the
Or
size of a
chicken
it's
eggs.
a super size.
Or tomatoes.
Chicken
Exactly.
eggs are actually
eggs.
super small.
They're super
Yeah.
small and they come in all colors.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
depends on the type of chicken.
chicken.
So when you go to the
Exactly.
store and you buy all brown eggs, it's like, why are these eggs all brown?
And the same
no
shape.
chickens all.
Well, they're just
Yeah,
all one
yeah.
color. They separate them like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, but I'm
it's a
sure there is some
processing-
kind of
it's a
process or
processing,
like
yeah.
inbreeding that they have developed
To make
chickens
sure that-
Oh
only-
yeah.
You don't-
you
White
guys
chickens
have you
white
guys
eggs.
seen?
Yeah.
Brown chickens have
You guys
brown
don't-
eggs.
yeah.
Have you seen Food Inc?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yes.
I haven't.
Yeah. I just wanted. I
It
mean,
kind of- it-
oh,
real
they
eye
showed a
opener.
squealing
I wanna
pig
say,
getting his
the
ears cut off, and I was like,
that
no.
they will not like legalize marijuana, or like it's taking so long. And I learned this when I was 16, the first time I went to Amsterdam. Marijuana would decimate about 10 industries that
Oh, yeah.
uphold our
Yeah,
government.
That's why
Yeah,
hemp.
absolutely.
That's why hemp got
is,
outlawed.
Hemp is
Yeah.
10 times
Hemp
stronger
is
than
outlawed
denim.
now?
So there goes all
Yeah.
your
I
cotton.
know that.
Now
Yeah.
you got to pay us for reparations. Now you got to give us reparations because you don't need cotton anymore. What did you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Medicinally, there's so
Constitution.
many different things you can use it for. There's even like a friend of mine used to have this terrible rash. You remember that stuff that used to be on Lena's arm?
Yeah.
She got this balm from Oakland the last
Bomb
time
ass
she
balm.
went. Yo, she put it on her arm. Within 3 days, it was all cleared up. Her eczema was
That
never-
shit was the
just
bomb.
gone.
Yo, that's
You know?
another. That's another
Like,
thing.
There's too many things that are affected
Yo.
that would crumble. Nobody would smoke cigarettes. I know I wouldn't smoke no cigarettes if I could smoke weed all day. I
You
would
would like
probably
out-
wouldn't
out
even
in the
smoke
streets?
weed all day.
Out in the
You wouldn't even-
streets?
You probably wouldn't even smoke
I
weed
know
all day.
because I'd be able to grow good weed in my backyard, and I
then,
would smoke
yeah.
that
Right.
twice a day, every
Straight
day.
out the backyard.
And everybody would eat
Right next to the basil plant.
Because
Yeah.
ain't nobody ever smoked some weed and gone to murder somebody.
Yo,
No.
Only thing you murdering is a burger. Like that's it.
but also another anecdote to jump on top of that anecdote. So one time I had like a rash or whatever on my skin. I go to the doctor, the dermatologist. He's like, "Yo, take this thing. It's like mad, like chemically and like smelly or whatever."
And it probably give you anal leakage.
But hopefully not. But
Or something else that you don't want.
But my thing is, I lost the prescription. I never filled it, and I kind of was just like dealing with like whatever. But then like I fucking just I was using tea tree oil on it, and I noticed the tea tree oil made it better. But then the coconut oil like just knocked it out.
Yeah.
And then you realize like, yo, you will never go to a doctor who will look at something on you and be like, "Oh, just put coconut oil in that."
Yeah.
They will never do that.
Or use aloe.
And not
Can I be honest with you?
Aloe,
To
right?
be fair, but not really on their side. They honestly, Western doctors don't know. They're
Right.
not trained in it,
That-
Yeah.
so they don't
They're
know.
trained-
They
Right.
just think that it's hoodoo, and then they're like,
And purposely.
If they
not doing
if they think of it at all, if they
Yeah.
even think of it, they just
right,
don't even really know.
they're trained to tell you what the book that they read told
Right.
you to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And I'll say that about that. It's like it kind of relates to that, to what we were talking about at first, like being connected to your body.
Word.
Right? We're not even taught. We go to people to tell us about our bodies.
Yeah. Right.
But if you're in tune with your body, you can tell, okay, my stomach is hurting. I know the location. Okay, maybe I should see this is serious. This isn't that serious. You can know the difference between heartburn and indigestion and like a gallstone.
And also to
You know
pay
what I'm saying?
attention-
Like there are different.
Also
if
to pay
you're
attention
in
to
tune.
when those things happen, right?
Yes.
If every time you eat a certain food, you have a certain reaction, you got to make those connections. But most people don't even do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Most
we
people
wait
just-
to go to our doctor and get an
So
allergy
we have
test.
we have a friend, two friends. They're a couple, Todd from the Bush and Cole Hansen.
Yes,
And
talk
they-
about 'em.
Cole Whitty now.
Cole Whitty.
Cole Whitty.
She took his name. And they talk about this because it's real. It's one of the things. Like Dale and I, she knows that. Like when I get sick, I don't take anything.
Me neither.
I never take medicine. And she'll see me and she's like, "You're sick." Like I'm like, I'm just if I
I'm trying to
rest
get
and
him to
hydrate,
at least
Right.
Take
if I
a
rest
couple
and
shots of
yeah,
vinegar. He
if I
won't do that.
no, you be like, "Would ask for that." If you,
Me and Amber
If you
fight
gotta go
about
to
that.
work,
yeah, I'll just deal with it. But the point I'm
Me
making
too.
is to what Joy was saying is like trying to allow my body to heal itself,
Right.
and then also knowing like, okay, how severe is this? You know, I have hypertension, and unfortunately, I was diagnosed with that and had to take medication, and I've been really fighting for the last 4 or 5 years to get off of them. I got off of one. But it's because I know, like, even if this is regulating my blood to some degree, and I know that there are some natural things that I do and can do, but the reality of it is like, while it's helpful, there's something that I know that it's not jiving with my system because it essentially is something foreign to my system.
Right.
And that is enough for me to know, like, okay, so it might be helping in this way, but what is it breaking down in my body?
Right.
What is
What's
it
the other
weakening
thing
in
that
my body or deteriorating in my
Right.
body? So, like, how can I figure out ways to get off all of them completely?
Case in point. Well, just some similar, but like
Yeah.
people who wear glasses. Yo, I used to wear glasses when I was in elementary school, and then one day I just stopped. And my eyes aren't perfect, but they have not deteriorated like since elementary school. Like I could probably read some of the things that's on a Jade screen from over here. But like everyone else I know who has continued to wear glasses since when they were young, their eyes are shit. Like,
But you know what's funny? It's funny you say this because that's what Todd literally believes, that there's foods that you can eat that
Yeah.
can, because he has issues. He actually has a
Stigmatism?
not a stigmatism. I don't want to say it's a disease, but he has a disorder where basically the cones in his
Yeah.
eyes are actually shrinking.
Right.
So his
Oh, wow.
eyesight is shrinking. He has reported that has stopped and reversed since he's been eating more bok choy, carrots,
Yeah.
and doing other things. So there's like, he literally believes that there's actual medicinal properties in all different
There
types
are,
of
yeah.
natural
There are.
foods
I agree with
that
that
can
too.
even reverse things that you're talking
Yeah.
about. Like, now, I don't know. I don't think he would. I don't want to sit there and misquote him or
Right,
like,
right.
But you know, him and other friends of mine, another friend of my Megasite believes very much in the power of like hemp oil and things like that to cure things like cancer.
Yeah.
All these other things that are being
Yeah.
documented. But the problem is, again, the reason why I think it doesn't work for many people is because of the type of discipline it takes. Because you literally have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we were talking about with the political system. You have to
You have to
hinge
unlearn
and
everything.
unmoor yourself completely from it, and you have to go off grid completely and go straight
Just
natural
go into it.
And we don't live in a society
No.
or been disciplined away like, yep, now for the rest of your life or for the next several years, you're going to have to literally take everything from the ground. You're going to have to eat
Yeah.
it in large abundance, and you can't have any artificial anything to reset your system.
Speaking of getting off of things, we're going to head into our next video with Khalik Sims with social media.
Enjoy.
Let's get to it. All right, let's get serious. Social media. Social media, the epicenter of prudent ventures. Like an indentured servant, I am the slave to unyielded scrolling. Echo chamber of frigid trolling. A sucker for blood-sucking sucker birds of social herding. Petrified of the compulsive effects, I am reluctant to digitally socialize. Seized by an ambush of notifications, where has my time been taken? Down the valley of social engineering, where privacy is nothing but a delicacy of corporate intrusion. Social media, the breeding ground of political collusion. The platform where propaganda is camouflaged with trendy illusions. The platform where freedom of speech is no more than a figure of speech. A social network of empty self-worth. A place where moments are captured, where life escapes. Let me say that again, hold on. A place where moments are captured while life escapes. Social media. A digital drug without a scheduled classification. For some like me, immediate excommunication and rehabilitation are needed for a valuable implication. An implication is assimilated. Social media, a digital weapon for evolution, a platform of indoctrination and cooperation, a network of collective consciousness, a catastrophe worth the risk, an alternative platform that inverts the hierarchical pyramid, a course of action moving with rapid traction, social media, a double-edged sword being used by both the centralized and the decentralized, social media, where the allied forces will collide with the forces of the empire. Choose not the platform of the proprietor. That's social media. Hey, social media is a great thing. Everything is a tool. Right?
So that was Khalik Sims with social media. So social media has been a hot topic. We talked about it a bunch on this show. And, with everything with the government talking about with the internet being a little smaller than we know it to be. The world has greatly changed since Facebook was started in 2004.
Yeah.
How has it changed for the better?
I don't
By
think it
not
has. I'm
being
sure
on the
if it
internet.
has.
Wait, how social
That's
media
smart.
changed the world for the better?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Is there a cricket sign?
I disagree.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my thing. This idea that social media is like the most evil thing ever is exaggerated in my head. And I look at it as, you know what? If I need a hammer, I'm just going to like hammer a nail. And then I don't think about it outside of that. It's just the tool. And for my daughter, it's just this whole new world, is a realm. And these ideas you get to connect with people and that are like you and yada, yada, yada. So I just think with every tool and every realm we have
to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Probably.
You got to learn how to apply it. It's not...
I agree.
Yeah. It's not the worst thing that's happened. I think when the Bible was translated, shit was crazy too. Maybe that was the worst thing to happen.
I agree. Just to like piggyback on that, I totally agree. I think that like, it's for the most part, I don't really think it's changed the world for the better because now there's so many opinions, but it has because it gave people voice, like a place to put their voice. Not that might not be a good thing, but the opportunity for people that are very, very far apart to find community in some way of finding people that are like you, like-minded, or like want to pursue the same things. Giving independent entrepreneurs and artists the opportunity to be able to be self-starters and like advertise themselves and create things or create things that improve their life and their quality of life. I think that's, keeping in contact. I've been able to keep in contact with family that I haven't seen in like 10 or 15 years, just because I'm able to see their kids grow up still and like, oh, my little cousin, yay. And then they know that we're thinking about each other, but it doesn't have to be like it's like that, how it used to be is like you call after like 2 years. Where you been? Oh my God, I haven't seen you so long.
Or you gotta come to Sunday dinner. Why haven't you been at Sunday dinner?
I have
It's
a
like,
question
look on my
now.
page, you
I have
know
a
why I
question.
haven't been there.
Why do we always sum up technology? We automatically go to social media.
Well, I think social media blew up and then technology started to develop so that we could have more social media.
Yeah.
Like smartphones. Smartphones were around before 2004. I remember my band director in high school having a smartphone. But it was just for email.
Yeah.
But like
Blackberries.
Sidekicks.
Blackberry, even before, Sidekick,
That's a
two-way
lone wolf
pagers,
dude.
stuff-
Yeah.
yeah. But like when I was in college and the first iPhone came out,
Whoa,
it
that
was
was
like
like-
whoa, and that
Yeah.
was like what 2 years after Facebook, and
It's like 2005, 6.
probably 2006 or 2007, and it was a year after Facebook opened up so that anyone, even if you weren't in college, because when
Right.
Facebook started, you could only be in college to be on Facebook.
But I'm just,
So-
I'm so going to I'm just going to date myself right now. Because I'm like, I don't know if you guys were around for the dawning of the internet.
I was around.
I remember the first time I heard of email, and I was a kid.
I was
I remember-
around for
yeah.
remember dial-up modems.
1977
Yeah.
that was born, so absolutely.
I remember being a
Absolutely.
kid the first time I heard of email, and my mom was like,
What is that?
"My homegirl just gave me her email address. Can you figure out how I can send her a mail on the internet?"
What y'all
and
know about
trying to
Commodore
figure it out
64?
with my mom.
What y'all know about that?
Oregon Trail.
Arang.
I had Oregon Trail too. That had like lifelike people.
Is that when you didn't die of dysentery?
No, you still died of dysentery. You definitely did.
Oh.
What you know about Omegas?
Conquest.
Oh my God, no.
I don't think it's better or worse. I think it's just different. Like it's like the same thing with the invention of the telephone or the invention of radio wave, or the discovery of like how to use radio waves. Like it just changes the world we live in drastically. So it's like, social media, things are different. And like, there's always going to be the people who are going to like wish things were back. TV is the devil. It's going to rot your brain.
Remember when TV went off?
Right.
That was the good old days.
And then like
Remember when you only had 10 channels?
Remember when binging was about eating?
radio
Wah, wah.
was the devil when it came out.
Yeah.
It's like the internet's going to be the devil until they figure out telepathy, and telepathy is going to be the devil till they figure out teleportation.
A lot of cultures
I'm there
don't
for
trust
teleportation
pictures.
now.
Like
Right.
a lot
Yeah.
of cultures for a long time didn't trust pictures. If you took a
Indigenous
picture of
cultures
someone,
still
some
don't
Just period.
not
Yeah.
all,
Nah.
not
I
all
think
indigenous pic-
Yeah, not
there's
all,
some
but-
truth to that though. I don't think they're
still
all
a piece of your soul.
lies.
I wouldn't trust pictures if I'd never seen if I didn't grow
Yeah,
up
I'd
with
be
them.
like, how am I
No,
in
'cause
this
even-
piece of
even
paper?
to this day,
How
not
did
even-
you put me
Word.
in
Even
this
to
piece
this
of
day,
paper?
like the guy who did one of my this tattoo, it's like back in 2009 or something. I was doing a photo project about hands,
Yeah.
and I asked, I was like, "Do you mind if I he was Samoan,
Yeah.
and we had this whole long talk, and he saw my camera, and he's like, "Yo, don't take my picture." I was like, "But can I just take a picture of your hands for my thing?" And like he was really, really hesitant
Yeah.
about letting me take a picture while he tattooed me. He was like, "All right, one quick picture, like that's it." So I had to get that one picture to
Yeah.
be perfect. It came out, it was a really great picture, but like he was very, very adamantly against it, and this was in 2008.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, "Nah, man, I don't do that. Like my people don't rock with that." And I was like,
And
"Okay."
I'm cool with it because I'm like, there are people who are like, "Oh, your tattoos are devil." And
Right.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like,
I remember when I
Can you
graduated
prove that?
college. When I graduated college, I was managing a tattoo parlor, and we had a Christian biker gang come in, and these were like four huge white dudes covered head to toe in crosses and Bible verses. And they could spit verses out of the Bible that justified them getting. They're like you're not supposed to mark your skin if it's
No,
against God,
man.
but we're using it to glorify God.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so I was like,
Right.
Good point.
cool.
Good
okay.
point. You
Rock
can't.
on.
You can't argue
Get
against
your,
that.
Get your 57th cross on your arm.
Austin
Oh,
316.
boy.
ahead, bro.
Here's your paperwork.
The worst gangsters are for God, man.
Yeah, oh, man. that just brought up a funny
I'm
story.
just gonna
Yeah.
say ditto to what Joy and Nicole said about it being good. I don't got nothing to add on that one. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. How has it affected us politically?
So that's a little more trickier. No, because on the one hand, it's definitely been a device that's been able to sort of illuminate things. We wouldn't have Arab Spring without social media. We wouldn't have had the Purple Revolution without social media. It's allowed us to sort of congregate. It was used very, very early on. They can't really do it well now because it's been track it better.
Done, yeah.
But I mean, like a strategy tool to kind of organize people for rallies and marches and things like that. So it's been powerful in that way. But when you think about what's happening with red pilling now, when you think about how, this is something we were talking about yesterday at the brunch, where we've now created a way in which you can essentially create this box that's curated by yourself, where you only hear, see opinions and ideas that align with what you want. And then what makes it so dangerous, whether it's politically, whether it's religious, you now think socially, you now think this is how the world operates and works. Right. And it's like, no, this is a section of the way the world works, and it may not necessarily be healthy. We won't judge that. However, it's definitely not going to be healthy when it gets in line with someone who doesn't feel or think that way. And now social media has made it very easy for people that are religious fundamentally, and I don't just, when I say a religious fundamentalist, it doesn't necessarily have to be, Jimmy Swaggart. There's a lot of individuals running around that are very religious fundamental, and they say and do things that are dangerous and detrimental to people that are not a part of that religion.
Who's that preacher that his name sounds like a mumble rapper? Creflo Dollar.
Creflo Dollar. The Creflo Dollar been around for a long time.
Oh, he's been here forever.
Y'all, I always thought he was a rapper.
I
never knew this was
when I've talked, and I don't want to out my own family, but even in my family, I've talked to individuals that are Christian and talk about, God want me to have this Cadillac. God don't want you to have no damn Cadillac. Yeah. God wants you to be free and be at peace. That's what God wants. Right. And the Cadillac is not going to be
bills.
But that's why God going to take care of it. But this the concept of we want to manifest, like we want to manifest physical material things through spiritual providence is like that's the most man thing. That's the most mortal thing I could ever possibly.
That's such a misuse.
Think of.
Also very selfish.
We went way left,
and that's how people get manipulated quite often.
The other,
sorry. No. Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. What I wanted to, because I just want us to like lose that whole vein of like how it's affected us politically. Yeah. Is that the internet, specifically social media like Facebook, has started to be used as a tool for law enforcement to perpetuate the prison system. Yeah. Because now what's happening is there's a rise in RICO cases where like if you are friends with somebody who happens to be in a gang or commit crimes, you could be innocent. You can get arrested and indicted under the RICO statute.
You're Facebook friends with them?
Yes, just because y'all are Facebook friends. I'm so serious. There are so many. There's a bunch of them. New York uses it, has done it plenty of times. And I've read countless stories where innocent students, like high school students, straight A students, I ain't never bothered nobody. I happen to have gone to high school with this kid. We're friends on Facebook. He gets indicted for a body because we're friends. Apparently, I know something about this. And
what?
Yes, right, they are racking. They are getting our kids like this.
Because if they can,
very
prison
easily.
Industrial complex.
You know what I'm saying?
If they can convince a jury that you're part of this gang,
because that's the thing with RICO cases. RICO isn't the same as isn't like a regular conspiracy charge.
Literally guilty by association.
You're guilty by association under the RICO indictments. If you get indicted under a RICO case, under those statutes, you're guilty by association. Just because I know you, you're guilty.
Throw up the quotation or no.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the real shade. Like, to me, that's the real detrimental part about what social media is allowing law enforcement to do, perpetuating these systems that we keep trying to break. And you know what I mean?
One of the things that I found, and this could be considered ironic in the sense of ratchet humor, is that the social media gets people, especially young people, to snitch on themselves.
Facts. Yeah. What is with that self-snitching culture? Why are you putting a gun on Instagram? I don't know.
No, but you know what though?
But
you know what though? But this goes back to the whole thing. So before the internet, status was a thing. Yes. So you wanted to be the man. If you could flex, you could flex. All social media has done is made it easier, simpler, and a lot more fabulous to do it. Yeah. And what's dangerous about it is, specifically,
and it's easier to fake it.
It's easier to fake it. And what's unfortunate is our young people don't realize. Many of them don't realize. Not all of them. Some of them get it. Yeah. But I dare say a lot of them get it. I mean, the young people that I know that I work with, they get it. Doesn't mean that they're perfect, but too many of our
drilled it into their heads.
No, this is before me. This is before me. This is before me.
Somebody
This is before me. Yeah, this is before me. But too many of our young people don't realize. And this is the part I meant that they get that the rules apply to them differently, and because of that, some things they might have to take care. Not right. It's not fair, but they recognize like I might have to take a different care because of that.
Yeah.
And that's what too many of our young people don't realize. Like Bobby's not going to, Bobby can have a money phone to his ear with, a Desi Eagle, and they're just going to be, oh, look at Bobby, pretend to be a thug rapper. But Jamal does that, and he's with the Rolling 50s, and he's from a gang on the west side,
Right.
or he's in, MS-13, or he crippin' or whatever.
Yeah,
and
he's
it's like,
a bad kid,
nah, it's
and
just a
if he gets
16-year-old
killed, he
kid
gets
Yeah.
killed.
doing the same thing
Right.
Bobby doing, being dumb, trying to be cool,
Yeah.
trying to show out, because like that's the thing to show out doing.
Yeah.
They both stupid.
I
Neither
was
one of
at
them supposed to be in
LIU
jail.
the other day. I was at LIU the other day, and they had their graduation, and there was a kid in his cap and gown with like $120 bills, just like. I'm like, you just graduated from college. Like, why are you pretending to be like a thug?
Yeah, we
I
know
mean, it
you're
might
broke.
be
We
real.
know
like,
you're in debt, bro.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
like your last payment. If I didn't have this, that diploma, right? You was getting that diploma.
No, you know what? No. You know what those 20s are? That's grandma money from the graduation.
Yeah,
You got
that's
graduated.
graduation money.
There's a little
Right out the
puppy.
card.
There's a little puppy green card with like, my baby made it. That's what that was. He's showing grandma money. He needs to stop
Kind of
it.
piggyback
He
on
needs to
that
stop
whole,
it.
like, let me get to my workshop because this is foolishness.
Just
and
if-
it was right for the gram. They were already on. I was like,
Get grandma money off the gram.
Just to
Get grandma
piggyback
money off the gram.
on
Stop
that
playing.
whole
where's the
flossing.
greeting card that came out of it?
I also kind of think that social media has allowed people to develop a false sense of their talents and
Yeah.
Oh.
abilities.
Definitely.
Please don't. No.
No, please do. Please do, Joy. Please do. I'm here for Joy.
explain.
Yo, tell me more.
Never.
Tell me
ever.
more.
I mean, we've all seen it, guys. Like we've all seen it.
I don't know,
So,
Joy. I
like-
think you need to give us a bigger explanation. Tell me more.
I'm gonna shine the light on myself because I'm not a finger pointer, even though I totally could be. But there are
Name
many
names.
of us, like the same way they look at somebody like Cardi B, who like went from being an Instagram model to loving hip hop to
Yeah.
Like, I think she just flipped that game. I think she's super smart because she
Yeah.
flipped it like
She's
nobody's
Her
business.
camp is amazing.
Right? Because
Don't
look how
come for
many
Cardi,
Insta models
Joy.
there are out there.
Don't come for
I'm
Cardi.
I'm not going nowhere.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with Cardi wherever she's going. I'm
Yeah.
here
Oh, okay.
for Cardi.
Careful.
But that's what I'm saying. Not everybody is Cardi B because
No.
you see there's 1,000 Instagram. There's
Because my girl
hundreds of
Xavier
thousands
Banks.
of Insta models.
Like who,
And-
Joy?
Short chicken.
Like
He did
who?
the opposite.
But like who?
Azalea doesn't look
I'm
like
curious.
Azalea
I'm
needs
an
to sit
Insta
down and
model.
love herself.
I'm
Like,
an Insta model.
She preaches against
No,
so
I'm
much.
not an Insta model.
Wait, who?
Azalea Banks. Like,
I'm just saying
like her
she's the
self-love
anti-
is like distorted.
She,
like, it's just,
she's the anti-Cardi
You
B,
know, I
but
can't.
that's why I love
Listen,
her.
guys. Listen, guys. I think Azalea just reaches too far. She's like a part of that academic conversation.
Yo,
without
can
the
I be?
academic
Can I be?
education.
Yeah.
Can I
You know
be
what I'm
really
saying? Like,
real?
I
You
want
wanna
to
hear-
understand this theory and do the work. Like
you want to
this,
hear
but I've
something
never
really
done the
messed
work.
up?
That's why you
You want to hear
read
something really
books.
messed up and sad?
She
Azalea
does.
Banks might be the only black woman in 2018 you could actually come for and nothing happened to you. She's the only black woman.
Yeah.
You come for a black woman publicly,
Yeah.
you're gonna have the story. You actually
disagree
Yeah,
with
you
that
that's-
heavily.
you-
I don't think.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I
Totally
disagree
agree.
with-
Amber just
I disagree
came
with
the
that.
room just to say she
I
agrees
disagree with
that.
that insanely.
That totally agree.
I don't know because
Totally accurate.
I've seen
That's
I've
true.
seen black women come for Azalea Banks and people
Well,
are like,
but
yo,
Yeah.
that has everything to do with the value system, right? When somebody accumulates a social value, they become like sort of socially protected. You come for Beyonce, and everybody's coming for you.
Yeah.
But the problem
Yeah.
is, like Azalea Banks has has positioned herself as an undesirable.
well,
and
I think she overdrafted to your analogy earlier. Dog.
I mean, but I don't
She overdrafted.
But
She
I don't think she had. She
Yeah.
just had a concert in New York that was like sold out.
Yeah,
so like
no,
I
people
I
love
mean,
her music.
so-
her
well-
music
I
is
do.
not
I
Her
love her
music
music.
is not
Yeah.
bad. It's
No, it's
great
not.
music.
But what I'm saying is like I sort of agree with Joy and the fact that like Azalea Banks, her biggest thing is one, she definitely has like some a case of MI on some level, but like, you know, you have to understand that just because you're a smart person doesn't mean you're the smartest person in the room.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
oftentimes like people who have found themselves to be the smartest person in the room and disseminating knowledge when they move to the bigger room don't know how to navigate that.
Right.
And she has
and don't realize they're no longer the smartest person in the room.
So
Absolutely.
she has provocative perspectives. She has like interesting thoughts, and like she hits the nail on the head a good bit of the time.
And age plays
then that next swing
huge
banks a
factor.
finger.
But then there's the part where she just goes too far, and she's like you know, and she's
the Richard Pryor.
She's a human being.
I don't know about that.
She is, man.
She's a human being.
She will set herself on fire sooner or later. I'm just saying it.
She's a human.
She came for Cardi, and
she's a human being, and like her insecurities are on full display because there has never been a prominent black woman that come out in the last couple of years that she does not criticize publicly. And I'm pretty sure on her end she probably would view it as like her just taking people to task so they can be better, but it just kind of shows like.
But that's why I'm saying she's the only black woman that people will come for and they're good,
but
because she attacks other black people.
But I think saying that she's the only one, I think like because people come for Stacey Dash and nobody does anything about like.
But that's because Stacey earned that place. She deserves that. Stacey forgets she's a black woman too.
But my point is
she was all over BET in the 90s.
But my point
there are black cards.
Wait,
hold up. There are black cards that we have taken away as a people. Stacey Dash traded in her black card.
Right. She shredded that shit.
She burnt that shit.
She was like, people only know me from being like the Clueless. Black friend in Clueless anyway. So I can just rock
all
this
the BET
shit.
videos.
Stacey,
don't forget that Playboy spread, Stacey.
But my thing is,
you're from the South Bronx, Stacey.
But my thing
you're
is,
from the BX, Stacey.
While those things are funny to say, while those things are funny to say, like she's still a black person, and like you can't take a black card away from a black person.
Is she a black person if she doesn't even believe
without a
she is
shadow
black?
of a doubt. Yes, she's a black person.
I don't believe that.
No, but I mean, a duck is a duck, whether it thinks it's a chicken or not. Like,
good.
You know
But if it's laying eggs like a chicken,
but even the willingness, that makes it a chicken. Even the willingness for us at this table to think we have the authority to deny her blackness shows how people can come for black women.
I'm not
she's
denying
a black.
that she's black.
That's
I'm saying
literally
she denies her blackness.
But that doesn't matter. She's black.
Well,
so
I think we were saying
that.
You can come for Azalea. Azalea's the only black woman you can actually come for and it not be an issue.
That's the point. No black woman is protected by her blackness. Like that's not like that.
Well, no. I think no. Well, I think Azalea Banks and Stacey Dash are two different things, and here's why. Azalea, well, of course, but here's what I'm saying. Stacey, here's the thing. You can't take someone's blackness away, but someone can take their own blackness away and disown it.
No, they can.
Absolutely can.
No, they absolutely.
Wait.
Now, guys are wild.
So
Baxter, hold on.
Can Rachel Dolezal then adopt blackness because she does?
No.
She
so
did,
Baxter,
though.
wait, but hold on. Baxter,
her community accepted her as a black woman.
Baxter, hold on. Here, I'm gonna break it down for you. I'll break it down for you. Let me break it down for you. I understand what you're saying. In this system of white supremacy, Stacey Dash can never cross over and be white. We're not saying
I'm not even talking about whiteness. I'm not even whiteness. Well, I'm just saying a black woman is a black woman, and like Stacey Dash has never publicly denounced her blackness. She's never said I'm not black. She has never said I am not black. Like we never said those words. Go for it.
Let me tell you something. Getting back on the social media, there are actually literally right now, and this is a fact, and I'll get the names. There are literally black Republican pundits that are literally using the idea of race as a construct to basically get to the idea of like blackness is not a thing. So the thing about it is this: blackness, as we're talking about it and understanding it, is not the construct; it is the way of being.
Yeah,
blackness is something that is both something you own and is bestowed upon you, and it is also something that is an actual truth. Here is the reality:
we started this conversation with people talking about how other people appraised their blackness and how that wasn't like right.
But also, but
we're talking about people that have literally said we don't want this blackness.
Right,
and you're basically saying that someone can. You're basically saying that there's an identity that is completely immovable. That's what you're basically saying.
Yes,
I think,
and that actually is taking the agency away from it. That's not problematic. It's problematic that you would try to divorce yourself from that actual identity, but you're actually taking away their agency by saying that they cannot.
Do you believe that there's racial fluidity, that people can decide to be another race?
I do think there's racial fluidity. I don't think it's necessarily a decision. Because racial fluidity is the concept of mingling with different races. My daughter is a mixed race kid.
Okay, but
whether we like it or not.
Racial fluidity in that respect, I completely acquiesce.
I think, see, I am one of those black people that believes that and knows that race is something that was constructed by man.
True.
It's
Absolutely.
also in a worldview. America is the only country where you have to identify by race. Everywhere else is ethnicity. It is culture.
That is true.
Judaism is a culture. It's an
there are
ethnic
countries that they identify race as more like a social class and not about your heritage.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we definitely go on heritage.
Here, I think in America, blackness is made up of several things. Yes, is race, but it's also it's a culture that has been created here and cultivated in America. I think it is the combination of the diaspora, the ethnicities of the diaspora. So I think there's a lot more that goes into blackness, and it is like he said, it's a life, it is a being, it is a way of being, it is a vibe.
I agree.
It is
I
not.
agree.
It is not like.
So I just want to be like
brown, I'm black.
Just like
you have the ability here.
So you guys think that Stacey Dash is not black?
Also, hell
She
no,
has
she's not.
denounced
She doesn't count.
her
She's
black
denounced her
card.
blackness.
No,
Also,
I think
she resigned.
No,
I'm saying she left the room.
Also,
That's
right.
all I'm saying.
I say I have a
don't
question
vibe
for
with that at
you.
all.
Baxter, I have a question
I
for
don't
you.
vibe with it neither, but
If someone is not allowed, if we start saying
Right.
that people are not allowed to either identify or not identify with the culture or race that they feel they belong to, right?
yeah.
Right. Then what does that mean for gender politics and for sex politics with trans people? What does that mean there? Are we now allowed to just deny a trans woman the opportunity to have that identity because we see them as a man and be like, nah, you a man. I don't care that you're a trans woman. You're a man.
Yeah.
And
You know
here's
what I'm saying? Are we now allowed
That's
to?
true.
And here's another side of this too, and I'm sure if you haven't, if this is the first time you hear it, but I'm sure we've all heard this term: all kinfolk, all skin folk, and kinfolk.
Yes.
Here's my thing, and it goes back to this black
Where's
capitalist
the
thing. What
snap button?
here's my thing about this. What we have to.
I'll give you some.
Here's my whole thing on that, and I hear what you're saying because yes, the truth of the matter is when Stacey Dash wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror, she is a black woman.
Melanated.
No one's
She's
melanated.
She is
Right.
melanated.
We get this.
We're
literally talking
cast
about
off the oppression of being a black person.
Guess what though?
She acts like she has.
She
not
can
only
sell
that,
it.
not only
sells it like she has.
not only that, she is conscious of said things and is looking to help oppress other black people. So whether or not she identifies or doesn't identify as black, she, in my mind, is on the same side of the people that the oppressor. Umar Johnson's another one.
But Umar
Johnson's not my people.
But let me ask you this.
And he's black.
But let me ask you this.
Please.
So I don't
Hold
care
on.
if you're black. If
Hold on. But let me ask
you are just as
But
bad
let
as
me
the
ask you this.
oppressor.
When you see Umar Johnson and you see, I don't know, George W. Bush, do you see them as the same as like, yo, that's my oppressor and that's my oppressor? Or do you see it as like, that's my oppressor and that's somebody that shouldn't be there but is also on that side?
No, you know what I see? I see two
Hold on.
dangerous men that are hurting people consciously.
No, but you
That's
also,
what I
yo,
see.
but you make the
better
That's what I see.
But you see, but it's not
That's
the
what I
same.
see.
But it's not the
But
same.
see, I
Is a black cop the same thing as a
black
white cop to you?
womanhood, in the eyes of black womanhood, to me, if you ask me that question, I would say yes to both. Right? Because to me, they're both in a place of privilege in my life, if
But
life
they're not
experience
in a place
anyway.
of privilege.
That has
Oh, hold up. We are avoiding a word here, and it's
Go
called
ahead.
the overseer.
Yeah.
That is not the master,
Dun,
but
dun,
he was the
dun.
master's tool
But-
and
but
performed
it
the
is
master's
still- but there's
dirty
still-
work.
but there's
And
still-
he
I have
has
no
overseer
love.
like
African
you.
But it's
descent.
still
I
a
have
difference.
no love for the overseer.
I'm not saying having love for them. I'm not talking about like inviting Stacey Dash to dinner or like even loving her or supporting
She
her
can't
in
even
any way.
come to the caucus.
But I'm just saying.
You know
like,
what's sad though, Baxter?
I'm not
Actually,
here.
everybody in
Wait,
this
before
room
you-
would. She don't want to come to the room.
Right.
That's what we're saying.
We would invite her to
She didn't
dinner.
wanna
She
come.
would
I
not.
wouldn't.
She would.
Wait,
she
no
would
one
not
kicked her
argue.
out. She kicked herself out.
Baxter, what was your thought? What was your last thought?
I'm just saying like I'm not for denying somebody their blackness. I think that's mad whack. That's
No,
Is it
I
the same
agree.
thing to
So then
deny
you get mad at
something
Stacey
that someone
because she denied
denounced?
her own. Raven Simone was another one.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
I don't-
Raven
I'm
Simone is
not-
confused because after she said all that shit about she not black, she's all
She hella
on
black, too.
blackish. And I'm like, excuse me, you said you weren't black.
That's a
Why
check.
are you on
That's
this
called-
show?
that's
I
called
feel
an
like-
agent.
Yeah, right. I felt like
Wait,
I
pause.
want to like.
Entendre.
I want to excuse
Entendre.
Raven from that
I was
too,
like-
because having met her in person, she's actually hella black, and in person she expresses
That's
that,
called
like in her
cooning.
way
so
of being.
weird.
I think it's a cooning move on TV. because when you're
She
on a
wanted to
talk
be the
show,
dissent.
you need buzzwords and you need things that's going to draw ratings.
I agree.
And while she was on the
Oh,
show,
sorry.
there
I
wasn't a
have no
Republican.
respect for
no,
cool.
no,
It
no.
was
And there wasn't
always-
a black Republican on the show. There was no
Yeah,
Republicans
there
on the
was
show.
no
Everybody was
Republicans on the show.
Democrats.
when
But
she was
that's
on there.
but,
Right.
but you know what though? Then that's hella dangerous for everybody else.
Yes.
That's not
Yeah.
cool.
It
But-
is, but
but
it's
people-
also entertainment.
No,
we have to
that's not
stop
cool.
People
taking
would always do what's the
entertainment as
benefit
news.
for the whole.
I
These
agree.
things are not the
People do
same.
what's benefit for
I agree.
themselves,
We keep
not for the
expecting
whole.
But I ain't gonna rock with
celebrities
it.
to
That,
be-
that's fine.
I ain't rocking with you.
That's
All
fine.
right, so this conversation.
I'm rocking with you.
Has
No, no,
gotten- Speaking
yeah.
of rocking with, this conversation has gotten real heavy. We're going to do our final thoughts and then get into our last song. It's a party song. So tell us one way you going to party as another way of like self-love. We started with self-love and centering. So we're going to talk about self-love and having fun. And I like to dance randomly. I twerk on Mikal while he's watching football, while he's cooking.
Yes.
He made my coffee this morning. I was like,
Yes.
I was popping.
Speaking of which, I meant to get you guys a bag of coffee. I forgot, but I keep
Wait,
thinking
so she could twerk on it? Is that what's...
No.
I will twerk with it in my hand.
Okay.
They're just coffee drinkers. I work at a coffee shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, cool,
Manager
cool,
of
cool.
coffee.
There will be a coffee
Hey.
bar at our wedding and everything.
What?
So how
Hey, you
how
got
do y'all
that,
have fun? Just
vanilla?
one thing, how you have fun, and then we're gonna get into Tequila Tecate by Lex.
Dance. I like to dance.
Mikal likes to dance. What do you like to dance to?
House
House.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
all the time.
With the big.
Well,
pants.
not as much as like back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Do you have pictures?
I think I was.
Because
At,
this before my time.
I think I was at Funkadelic once. I think it was with Ty and you guys were filming the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't there like a dance section?
There was. Yes.
That
That was for our tour. Yep.
Yeah, good
What
times.
else? What about you,
Makes me
Joe?
happy.
Like, what do you do to have fun? What's
Have
fun for you?
So many things. I don't know. I like simple things. You know what I'm saying? Laughing, like kicking it, telling jokes with people, like dancing, music. I make music or I cook. I love to cook. Cooking it's fun to me. Don't judge me.
That's sweet.
Baxter, you look so deep in thought.
I hang out with my girlfriend.
Aww.
It's the cheesy thing to say, and I would say if she wasn't here.
It's totally true. Though.
But yeah,
We know you well enough. We know.
yo, but like you know, if I was having a bad time, I would rather have a bad time with her there with me than have a good time without her. So
Oh,
That's supposed to be sweet, but that's like misery
Nah,
loves
it's-
company.
well, no, it's just
That
She-
could be
She
read
makes
a,
the bad
a
times
couple
good.
ways.
That's,
She makes-
that's what he's trying to say.
she makes me
Yeah.
feel better,
Okay.
even if the situation isn't the best situation.
Oh,
that's so sweet.
And I hope I do the same thing for her.
No, nah,
Aww.
Nicole.
this is awful.
No, do it. Let's do it. Let's get real.
But I take a lot of pleasure in like practical joking my kid.
That's
She
called
does it to
therapy.
me all the
No, that's called
time.
good parenting.
You're toughening your kid up for the world.
No,
Gotta
because
get
she
away from
does it to me.
You give
She
your
does
kid a
it
sense
to
of humor.
me.
That's what
Yeah,
you're doing.
word.
And then I just was like, all right, I'm just going to unleash the hounds on you. Like,
Right. I got mad experience on you, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You about to feel it.
I think that's the
feel
best
it.
thing in the world, though, because like
Yeah.
really, like when you think about, it, I look around the table, I'm like, we're all kind of like entertainer, performer folk.
Yeah.
We're always out and doing stuff. So it's like, what do you do for fun when most of your life is fun? You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
that's
Like,
true.
I have fun every day, all day. Everything I do is kind of fun. So it's like somebody asked me on a date once, and they're like, "So what do you do for fun?" And I'm like,
I work.
Live.
"Not
Word.
I work."
Word.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What do you
Yeah.
work?" I'm telling them, they're like, "Oh, so you wouldn't want to go to a club?" I'm like, "Hell no, I don't want to go to
Like,
a
that's
club."
what I do
It's
for
like,
work.
No, I don't want to go to
You
a bar.
always in the club.
I'm
Yeah,
always in the
I'm
club.
there all
You know
the
what I'm saying? So
time.
it's like simple things like that. Like, yo,
Yo, let's go to the forest,
let's go
B.
joke. Let's go to the forest. Let's go to the beach. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Let's just go to a
rowing
coffee
or let's go
shop.
kayaking. You know
Word,
what I'm saying?
B.
Yeah.
Whatever. Have some fun.
Well,
Yeah.
according to rapper Lex Rush, she drinks tequila and Tecate. So we'll get into
Whoa,
that.
whoa, 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 whoa. What do you do for fun?
I,
Oh,
do,
word.
I said I dance.
Oh, you did. You said it. You said
I
it.
said that.
You said it mad quick.
No,
Yeah.
I
No, she
said
said
it.
she
She was like,
Oh, you go
Green
twerking.
man.
It's twerking. Yeah.
Green
My
man.
bad. My bad.
There
My
was a
bad.
consensus.
You're right.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. Check everyone out on IG, and I hope to see you. The Poet will be televised on July 11th. You can RSVP at The Poet on the Roof .eventbrite.com.
It's like, walk into the party, tequila Tecate. What's up, everybody? Tequila Tecate. beer in the shade, tequila Tecate, yeah, tequila Tecate. It's like walking to the party, tequila Tecate. What's up, everybody?